8, Series 9. I was like, look, these are good watches, but and so now here we are. Very I've been using Apple Watch an incremental update 10 instead of some dramatic new time. I actually think now this visually reminds me more than ever of and do the same thing. And I even remember in my last few years of reviewing the Apple Watch Series 8, Series 9, I was like, look, these are good watches, but clearly very incremental improvements. So if you want a big upgrade, maybe wait till the 10th gen one. And so now here we are. I've been using Apple Watch Series 10 for the past week, and it's definitely another incremental upgrade. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Obviously, it's not as exciting as a total redesign, but that definitely makes this review pretty simple as far as whether you should get one or not. The main physical differences this time, on the outside, are it's slightly thinner and lighter and bigger. So the numbers say 10% thinner and 10% lighter for the aluminum one. And then they actually dropped stainless steel in favor of titanium on the higher end one, so that's 20% lighter. And the screens of both sizes are now even bigger. And the result is really just that you can see more and it's just more comfortable on the wrist. In fact, it actually just feels like someone took last year's Apple Watch and just squashed it down a little bit. And there you go. That's the new design. And of course, it's more complicated than that. Like, there is a new metal back that's one piece now, and there's a new re-engineered speaker that's 30% smaller, so it can fit in this, and just other pieces like shuffled around to fit in this new shape. But the end result is very much still an incremental update instead of some dramatic new form factor. I actually think now this visually reminds me more than ever of a Pixel Watch, just depending on what face you have. Just because of the way the top edges are curved even more and the way everything just kind of melts into the sides, especially with this new jet black color, it's just way bigger. In fact, it's true, the larger 46mm Apple Watch Series 10 basically now runs the same screen size as the Apple Watch Ultra. And Apple loves to do that thing where they show an older watch on the screen and a newer watch with a bigger screen next to it and brag about how, hey, there's a bigger screen, so you can get even more text and even more content on the screen, and it's easier to type on that on-screen keyboard. And to be honest, it never really made that much of a big difference to me, other than maybe the Ultra. But this year, I noticed something very specific. The Disk Sports workout now shows one extra line of information. So instead of time, active calories, total calories, and heart rate, it now shows me time, active calories, total calories, heart rate, and miles. So there's that. I think watchOS 11 literally just adds an extra line of text in some instances with these bigger screens, which is kind of funny. But speaking of watchOS 11, that launches on these new watches and gets pushed as a software update to some older Apple Watches. So you're going to get things like the new Vitals app, which gives you a sort of energy score, kind of like the Garmin Body Battery. And there's a sleep apnea detection, which just got FDA approval to detect and notify you of potentially high levels of sleep apnea using only the accelerometer. And there's training load as well, which keeps track of the perceived intensity of workouts. That stuff is nice, and it's also, like I said, coming to some older Apple Watches as well. So, if you really want to know what stuff is specifically coming just to this newest watch, so like a reason to get this one, then there's about 4 that you should know about. Okay, so let me know if these are enough to convince you to get this newest watch. So number 1, with this redesigned speaker, you can now listen to media out loud on the watch. So meaning like you could already like take phone calls and set alarms and stuff, but now you can literally just play media like music or podcasts or audiobooks out loud. So you could be on a hike and just forget your headphones and just, you could be that guy, but don't be that guy. So the number 2, this is now an updated LTPO3 display, which means it'll go all the way down to 1 Hertz instead of 10 Hertz. So now it can show the second hand all the time when the always on display is on because it doesn't take up extra battery. Plus it has slightly noticeably better off-axis viewing angles, which actually helps for a watch, so you can sort of glance and check the watch and still see it without looking like you're checking your watch. So the number 3, there is a new water temperature sensor. So here's the thing, I don't know if you can tell by looking at me, but I don't really spend too much time around deep water, so I don't have any test results for this particular new sensor, but it's there now, so great. But then number 4, faster charging. So cared about this one. Turns out, so if you use the puck that comes with it, this is how you maximize your charging speed. You can now get it up to somewhere around 65% from dead in half an hour. It's supposed to be 80% actually, but we couldn't get it quite that fast. But nevertheless, the faster charging speed is very welcome. And that's it. That's the new big 10th generation update. There's also the new S10 SIP inside, which doesn't seem to be noticeably faster or better at anything.